Hi YouTube, it's Ivy again, and today I'm here with a video concerning commissions that nobody likes to take. Last time I talked about furries, and today I'm going to try and figure out if I can learn how to draw mechas just on the spot. Because I've never drawn mechas, and I've never really been interested in them until recently, so let's see what I can pull out. It is also Mecha May, so we're perfect on time. A lot of people do prompt lists for Mer May, which I'm also doing, but I have seen a couple people doing Mecha May. So I just love that people do these community challenges like that. So like I said, I've never really drawn mechas before, but I turned to YouTube to see if they could point me in the right direction on how to do it. First video I found was by Modern Day James drawing mechas, and he had a lot to say about fundamentals.
In this prosthetic arm, there's actually going to be two examples of pivot joints. Since the shoulder is actually a ball and socket joint, which we're going to talk about next, this prosthetic arm uses a combination of hinge and pivot joints to accomplish the same amount of rotation.
Okay, so this guy is super skilled and an amazing artist, but that is not quite what I was looking for. I was looking for something a little more able to fake it, maybe a little less like I need to study real mechanics. So thankfully, Draw with Jazza had another James going through his process, the box office artist, and that was a little bit more my speed.
Is start with like little thumbnails, small sketches of silhouettes of what this robot will look like.
So this was at least doable for me. It wasn't too hard to just kind of mess around with shapes. Took some kind of the basics of character design that I know of. Not that I'm an amazing character designer or anything like that, but one of the things you really want to do is stress small versus large, like high contrast. So you don't want everything to be kind of the same size. You want really varying things. So, you know, I've been trying to get a little bit better at that myself, so this was a good way to just work on my silhouettes and kind of play around with that kind of concept. I knew I didn't want to make a robot that was too bulky, so I kind of stuck with the smaller frames and just didn't take too long to come up with something that I was alright with moving forward.
And this is where I'd like to sketch out the basic shapes, start putting a little bit of detail before I go in straight to ink.
For me, that was a good enough jumping off point to just finish the whole thing. It wasn't easy though, I'll definitely give them that. These guys that do the super complex mecha stuff and they do it all the time, they're like super good at it, like blow my mind, because just thinking of the shapes for this thing was not very easy for me. I definitely found myself going like, I don't know how to make this silhouette into anything interesting. He does say, hey, go look at like airplanes and engines and car stuff like that. So, I went ahead and did that, Googled up some stuff about robotics, and heck, I even took some of the hinge training that original video sent me. I'm not going to say that I was, picture perfect accurate or even thought very much about how they worked, but I took a little bit of inspiration from that, so it wasn't completely useless or anything. I pretty much followed his steps as far as how he just sketched out his shapes and then went right in with ink and went right into detailing without completely finalizing anything in the sketch. His sketch is definitely more complex than mine is. It's partially just my style. I'm not really the kind of person that would create a robot that has quite the level of detail that he would, but definitely check out his video if you're interested in this kind of work, because he really walks through it in a way that was pretty comprehensive, and his work is really cool, so I would definitely recommend checking that out. And as far as applying this to commissions go, I think it's not going to be as hard as you might think. It's probably going to be pretty unlikely that anybody requests you to draw a full mechanized character, but I definitely think there are ones that have cyborg body parts and stuff like that you might be losing when you say, oh, I don't draw mechas. And it shouldn't be too hard to just incorporate, one arm or one leg or one body part or something that is mechanized. Everything that robots do pretty much are referencing back to what humans do. we have the same kind of joints and rotations and stuff like that. They just look a little bit different. If you can figure out how those joints interact and stuff like that, and you use your reference and you think about the basics of anatomy, I think you totally got it in the bag to draw that cyborg arm. I think it's also a common thing that when people first start taking commissions, they feel like they can't say no to anything. And especially when you're young, maybe you haven't dealt with a lot of customer service before or stuff like that, you will learn that people are dumb and rude a lot of the time. That isn't an excuse to be, dumb and rude back to them, but you don't have to take everybody's business. It's completely in your right. If anything is beyond your comfort level, or you don't feel like you can really create a good product that, is going to be good for them, it's completely in your right for you to say, like, hey, sorry, I don't want to take this for whatever reason. You can give them an explanation or not. It is completely up to you. Of course, the more polite and just well presented you can do this is going to be better for your business and just how people view you, and you'll probably feel better about it too. But never feel like you have to take the commission of every single person that comes into your inventory or into your inbox, because you really don't. When I first started taking commissions, I was pretty young, maybe like 13 or 14 or something like that. And I don't really know what age group my viewership is. Could be in there, you might be a little older, not really sure. But anyway, I know I completely undervalued my art. And I got some pretty kind of inappropriate things, honestly. Like, looking back, I got somebody that definitely asked for some like fetish art that was of girls with shoes on their hands. I don't ask, I don't judge. However, looking back, of course, I didn't realize like what the intention was, but it did make me a little bit uncomfortable that it was such a strange thing. It was a really big piece for really cheap, and I did it because I just felt like it was going to be so rude if I said no, or whatever the reason. Of course, I wanted to get commissions as well, so it just seemed like, of course I have to take. You're going to learn that the more you value yourself, the more you're going to attract customers that also respect you and really value what your work really is. Sometimes it does mean pushing yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, like doing your mecha or whatever, and you might be really glad you did. But sometimes you don't have to push yourself. I make these videos on commissions that people don't do so that you can do them if you want to, but it's never something that you have to do. Offering it and people asking you and having a conversation with your customers is never really a bad thing. If people want to be like, hey, are you cool with drawing XYZ? If you're cool, then great. If not, just be like, no, but thank you so much for your interest. I really appreciate it. Blah, blah, blah. I kind of had this idea originally the tubes were just kind of, I don't know, they're for decoration, but I wanted him to have kind of a core. I wanted to have something a little more out there, and it ended up being this bright green that I really wanted. It kind of clashes, not gonna lie. Looking back, the colors on this thing are kind of ugly, but I think that that's another thing that you would get a better sense of the more you drew this kind of stuff, because there's so many parts that I've never had to think about coloring. I probably could have used some reference for that too, but I just didn't, so you're just gonna have to deal, I guess. Mecha May aside, I do plan on posting a mermaid every single day for May. I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm going to try pretty hard to keep up with that. And so far it's going pretty well. We're on day 4 and I have 5 almost done. So go ahead and check out my Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and I post a mermaid every single day along with doing this apparently today. I'm trying to be really productive. So I really appreciate the support. I know YouTube, I missed a day. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late with this one, but I really wanted to dye my hair yesterday, so it just happened like that. Thank you so much for the support. If you guys are doing any kind of May challenges, or if you have monthly challenges coming up that you're really excited about or planning on doing. I've seen quite a few for May that I didn't even know existed, and I would really like to do more. So let me know if you find any, because I think they're really cool. Have a great one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and, make your cool robots.